Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is DFree, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball discussion, which today I am not alone. I'm joined by my one and only good friend, Mark, aka Real to Real. How are you doing, buddy? It's been a long time since you've been on the channel.
Like I said, that's not my fault that it's been so long, but I'm really good.
You mean like you said? Nobody heard that.
Well, before we started recording, it's not my fault. Anyway,
no, it is your fault. You've been distant. Every time I hit you up, you're like, no, I don't want to talk.
Baby, you've been so distant recently. What's up, DFree?
Yeah, definitely. So what we're going to do today, guys, we're going to talk about the Daishinkan and the angels that we've seen so far in Dragon Ball Super via the upcoming trailer arc, or excuse me, the upcoming arcs trailer that got dropped recently, where we see a little bit of stuff regarding those guys. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out, the trailer, and come back to this. If you don't want the spoilers, if you want to wait till after like the next episode airs, honestly, there's nothing really major in this video, so feel free to do whatever you want to do. But as always, subscribe to Mark. Awesome guy. Let's get into the discussion, though. That being said, Daishinkan. Now, we know that he is one of the top 5 strongest characters in the entirety of Dragon Ball, according to Whis. And we know that he also is the father of Whis and Vados, basically, because they're siblings. Now, I came up with the idea prior to that trailer coming out, in which I was like, maybe, you know, these other universes will have angels that are related to Vados and Whis, and it appears that just going based off of looks, that probably will be the case, because they all kind of look similar. You know, you have the one that they're calling Harley Quinn to the God of Destruction being the Joker, you know, the pigtail Vados one. Then you got that bulkier Whis looking guy, just the male one. So, you know, we have all these different universes. It's safe to assume that, let me ask your opinion then, is it safe to assume, at least going based off of looks, that they are all siblings, all the angels, under Daishinkan as their father? We don't know how they reproduce. We don't know if it's asexual, if there's a mother figure, whatever it is. They could be adopted for all we know. Mm-hmm. But at the very least, is it safe to say that they're all siblings?
I would say so. I mean, the only reason I would imagine that they're not really, I mean, just going off of what we know versus like what we've seen in that little trailer and what we've known, and they've said that they've kind of explained throughout the entire series, is Vados and Whis are siblings. Their father is the Daishinkan, and apparently we have those people, like you said. And maybe they did say, Whis did say that the Daishinkan's one of the top 5 battle levels in the entire multiverse, and maybe, just maybe, there might be like other people, like other angels that kind of patrol and look over the entire multiverse outside of the Daishinkan and Zeno himself. And those are the father figures of all these other angels, but I highly doubt it. I mean, this Dragon Ball Super has done nothing but just completely like advance and advance and advance its god hierarchy from, you know, the craziness that was already established in Dragon Ball Z. So introducing more people into the mix is probably going to get more confusing than it needs to be. So there is a good argument to be made that he is the father figure for all these angels that are looking over all the gods of destruction.
Yeah, and I think that you're right in that for simplicity purposes, that will probably be the easiest way to kind of handle that. Another thing I thought about is, once again, going based off of looks, they look like they're all part of the same lineage, right? So that being said, maybe the Daishinkan, you know, not taking into account how strong he is or what other fighters are in between him and number 1, if that's Zeno or not, because, you know, Zeno doesn't actually like really fight in particular. So whatever that hierarchy is that has him sitting at number 5, maybe he has some siblings himself, some brothers and sisters that are stronger than he is, or whatever the case is, that hold Grand Peace title, and they are actually the parents of these other corresponding angels. What about that as an idea?
Well, the only reason I like that idea, like I said, simplicity purposes one way, probably the best way for them to go, but the only reason I really like that idea is if the Daishinkan, if the Grand Priest is the one guy who's basically the right-hand man of Zeno, and he is a father of Whis and Vados, and none of the other angels are, it's really kind of a cool idea to kind of just one little more morsel that actually gives us a reason as to why Universe 7 is so important, as is we had to base this entire series here, and that's why we're not in universe, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like all the any of the other ones, because this universe has Dragon, like the Dragon Balls. This universe has the Saiyans. This universe has Earth. This universe has these the kids of the Grand Priest. It has these two gods of destruction who are twins when no one else has twins. I mean, there's so much uniqueness and craziness about these two universes that adding one more thing in there that would make it just a little bit more unique as opposed to all the other universes would be something that would be cool to see as fans. It would give us a little bit more reason as to why we're watching this show.
Yeah, and that's probably my favorite part of that kind of little pocket theory that, maybe he doesn't father everyone, or maybe it's like a sibling or something, is that you look at it and you say, well, obviously universes 7 and 8 are twin universes. They have twin gods of destruction. It's sibling angels, and, the angel's father is, overseeing their universes in some capacity. And that doesn't mean that the other twin universes couldn't have something akin to that going on in their respective universes. It's just, we obviously follow our main protagonists and they're central to Universe 7. So that being said, it does add a little bit of diversity to it, as opposed to saying, which, like we talked about, the simple route is saying, well, Daishinkan, you're the father of everybody. That basically gives you superiority over all the universes and your top 5 strongest character, which would be, honestly, probably, as far as storytelling goes in Dragon Ball Super, that would probably be the easiest route. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a little bit better if it was a little more unique in the way we're talking.
Well, that's the one thing is, look, one thing I was expecting, and I think it goes hand in hand with this argument, is I was expecting when we got to see all these twins, like all these twin universes come around, that we would get kind of an indication that there are twin gods, the same way that Beerus and Champa did. I thought that that was the world and the rule, basically, that Toriyama came up with, is Beerus and Champa are gods of destruction because they're twins, and they share these two mirror universes, and that's just how it works. So all the other gods of destruction would be twins of each other. That's not the case. And that's not the case. We've seen all these other gods. We've seen enough gods of destruction in the 12 remaining universes in Dragon Ball that indicate that just simple math can't add up. Champa and Beerus are the only two legitimate, like, fraternal twins that we can actually see. And it was weird to me that Toriyama or Torotaro, whoever designed these people, probably Toriyama, but that he didn't go the Toriyama route. Like, he threw off expectations for me where, I thought he would make it easier for himself to define and draw up all of these different gods and actually create, 5 gods instead of having to create 10. And he didn't. And now, but he did the same thing with the angels. So just saying that the Grand Priest is probably the father figure of all of them is probably the easiest route for them to take, even though it would have been more interesting to see all the different angels instead of twin gods, I think, just to kind of indicate that these angels are special the same way that everything else is special.
Yeah, and kind of just harken on that just a little bit more before we get out of here. On a side note, I think that there is something really special about Beerus and Champa from what we can see, because as you said, up to this point, we have no further indication that there are any other twin gods of destructions or sibling gods of destruction, even for that matter. Maybe some weird, crazy thing pops off to where they're all siblings themselves, the gods of destruction, and they just don't look similar. We don't know. But I do think that the fact that, simply put, those two are twins does lend a little bit of credence to Vados and Whis being siblings as well. And it's just, Dragon Ball Super has so much potential with this upcoming arc and with these characters that I kind of wanted to talk about this, because we don't know what their positions are. We don't know what's coming down the pipeline as far as their backstories and their histories, their lineage. We don't know anything about that. But at the very least, we do see that there is some resemblance, and we do see that a lot of these characters kind of seem like they have history with each other. So that's kind of what made me want to talk about this.
I'm sure like the one thing that we really do need in this, outside of just getting to know all the fighters that we're going to see fight that are actually going to be, at least in some level, legitimately important, we definitely need to see how the gods interact and how their angels interact with each other, because that's one of the things that's been kind of sorely missing throughout all of Dragon Ball Super thus far, is we don't get to see Beerus interact with Champa enough, we don't get to see Vados interact with Whis enough, and these two people, these pairs of people are supposedly siblings for the last millennia, age, tale as old as time type of stuff. So we need to see how these people interact, and what if you know, what if they are siblings, if they're all siblings, like what if Vados and Whis just don't get along with some of their siblings or something, because they're competitive amongst each other, but what are they going to be like with all the other siblings? Do they get along? Do they have some kind of reason to doubt or hate one another, or their father? Does any of these people hate their father if they're all siblings? I mean, and like you said, who is their mother, and are they grown on trees? Does he just like asexually put them out? Like there's so much that we don't know that they're probably never going to explain to us. That would be really interesting if they did.
Yeah, definitely. And one last thing I kind of could think of is like, man, I wonder how their power lineage, or excuse me, the power hierarchy goes. I said lineage so many times in the video. As far as between the angels goes, like, is Vados the strongest? Is Whis the weakest? Like, I want to know all these things. So thank you once again, Mark, for tuning in, or excuse me, for joining into today's video, and, you know, dialing in on the call with me, of course.
Yeah.
So it's totally a pleasure to have you here, bro. And
no worries.
Any other further words you wanted to say, man?
No, I'm tapped out. It's kind of very like honestly, it's a really cool topic, but it's really speculative up until this point. Hopefully, we do get these answers at least in some way, shape, or form.
Definitely. Everybody, please, 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 I implore you to go check out Mark, aka Real to Real. Link is in the description. Does other awesome content based around Dragon Ball, box office stuff, Saw, all these other types of content. He's a great guy, as you can tell from the video, so check him out. And yeah, we'll catch you guys later. Thanks for coming in. Peace.
Bye.